Hello, U.S. history students. I would like to start off this lesson with that quote there. Boys like blue, girls like pink. Is that true? If you are a girl, your favorite color is pink. You love makeup and wearing dresses, right? These are the types of assumptions people make based off of your gender. So if you're male or female. Have you experienced that in your own life? Is that true? No, absolutely not. Boys can like pink, girls can like blue. It's just a color. Colors don't have gender, right? I know, for example, growing up, I was a total tomboy, they used to call us. I would play in the creek, that's what we called it, behind my house and catch crayfish. I was not kind of the girly girl type. I didn't like dresses and bows and all that stuff. But those are the types of stereotypes that people face. And that's just one type. Now imagine a girl. Okay, so we have the first assumptions based on gender. Now imagine a girl is also black and let's say Muslim. What other types of stereotypes or discrimination might she face? So now you're adding on even more layers, right, of stereotypes and assumptions people might make. Today we will talk about something called intersectionality. So did you ever hear the word like intersect? Like when roads intersect, think of like a T, right? So it's when things are kind of like crossing together, that middle point. According to Summit, intersectionality is the idea that an individual can experience life differently based on how all the other different parts of their identity overlap or intersect. Okay, so your learning target for today, I can explain how intersectionality impacts my life. So you're going to talk about how it impacts your own life. You're going to look at yourself. Okay, so there's always a read, watch, and a do. So for the read, let's learn a little bit more about what intersectionality even means. So you're going to read this overview by Summit to learn more. And I only want you to do the reading part for this section. Okay, so again, remember this whole compelling question we've been looking at in the very beginning is how does the intent of westward expansion compare to the impacts it had on different groups of people, right? Native Americans, women, immigrants, Black Americans, okay? So for the final product, just to give you some context for all this, what we're doing, answering the compelling question of the inquiry, there will be 4 different parts. A visual compare and contrast chart using evidence from the different document sets, so all those documents that you've been reading every week, to compare the impacts on each of the different groups. The template for this is in the checkpoint. So you're going to actually be doing this for this checkpoint. So this is one of your components of your final product. You're going to get done with this. An answer to the compelling question of the inquiry, a revised version of your answer to the question below on intersectionality, highlighted in yellow, which we'll get to. So there's 2 things that you're doing this week that's going to be in your final product. Your answer to the final question in the activity, does the intent justify the impact? Okay. Let's take a look at this here. Intersectionality, so you see race, sexual orientation, gender identity, nationality, disability. Okay, so sexual orientation, so, gay, straight, bisexual, gender identity, right, male or female, nationality, so are you American, are you, where you're from, and then disability. So if you have, any special, are you handicapped in any way? Are you in a wheelchair, for example? Okay, so, and I talked about this a little bit, but for this part, I really want you to read through this here, okay? So just do this reading, all right? And then you're going to look at what are the different components of my identity. So list as many identifiers that are important to you. So like your gender, so for me, I would be female, I would be Caucasian. I would, mention that my religion, I'm Catholic, so on and so forth. So you can pick that out. So you're going to walk through here. So it says pick the 3 identity components which are the most important to who you are. So here's an example. I identify as a girl. How do you think identifying this way impacts your life? So example, because of this, I think people sometimes assume what colors I like or clothes I should wear or books I would want to read. And they always ask if my friends who are boys are my boyfriend. I find that frustrating. So that's what you're going to do here for each of your components that you list, okay? So if you identify as a girl, you're going to do that. If you identify as Catholic, how does that impact your life? If you have a disability, how does that impact your life, etc. Now this part where it says about sharing with a small group, just do that at home. You can do that with friends or parents, okay? And then I just want to direct you're going to answer these questions, but this one here that's highlighted, this is key. This is going to go into your final product, and you're doing that today. So how does understanding intersectionality in your own identity impact how you understand the historical experiences we studied in the inquiry? So how does learning more about all the different factors that make you up and impact your identity, how does that help you to understand everything we learned about these experiences of what happened to women moving out west and immigrants and Native Americans and Black Americans? Does that make you look at that a little bit differently, their experiences, now that you learned a little bit about, your own life and your own intersectionality? Okay, so yes, you're doing the reading there. I have a little video I really recommend you watch. Gives you more information on this term, so I strongly urge you to watch that. Then I have some flashcards here and just the important terms. It's very brief, I think maybe 5. And then what does intersectionality mean? You're going to answer that here. And I have a quiz based on those flashcards. And then, okay, what are you doing? What's your big elaborate here? It's that question. How does understanding intersectionality in your own identity, so I'm female, I'm Catholic, I'm, what else did I say? Whatever, I'm straight. So anyway, all those things, how does that impact, who I am and how I view the experiences of those that we studied, okay? So complete the questions on this worksheet by Summit. The final question will count as one of your final products. You'll be copying and pasting it later as an answer to one of the questions in the comparing and contrasting impacts final product. So if you look here, so I told you the first part you're doing the reading. So simply what you're doing here for this, you're completing the questions, you're answering the questions, but this is the big one. And that's why I want you to copy and paste your answer to that right here and put it, okay? Because this goes into your final product, okay? So let me just go over there so you can see that. Okay, so this is where we're at this week. You're going to do this compare and contrast impacts. Then you only have 3 more checkpoints. And it's about a rough draft, doing some research, you're working on your so basically these final ones, you're getting ready for these final products. You're working on them. And so for this is what you're doing for the Summit checkpoint. You're doing a compare and contrast chart here. Okay, don't be intimidated by this when you look at it. It's kind of like a Venn diagram, but they just have it in a chart form. So for each of the colored compare and contrast sections below, copy and paste evidence into the different boxes. In the similarity, so this middle section, you should have at least one piece of evidence from each side to show how they're similar. So how were Blacks and American Indians similar in the middle? On everything you learned about their experiences moving out west. Same with Blacks and immigrants, Blacks and women, American Indians and immigrants. So you're just going to go through here. And then in the middle section, the gray box, you're going to list evidence of things that all the identity groups have in common with one another. You do that in the gray sections, okay? And this will be part 1 of your final product. So in the middle, you're talking about all the different identity groups, Blacks, American Indians, immigrants, and women. So in here, you can put what they all had in common with their experiences moving out west. And then, you put the differences here on the sides, okay? All right, so that is your checkpoint and your lesson from me this week. And the whole idea about intersectionality, why am I talking about that? Because if you look at this one starred final product, I just want you to see what you're doing. Aha, does this look familiar? You're just copying, pasting what you're doing in this checkpoint for your final product. And, look at this. How does understanding intersectionality in your own identity impact how you understand the historical experiences we studied in the inquiry? So there you go. You're getting 2 things done today that go into this final product. So there's just 2 other questions then that you'll have to answer. Okay, so I hope this helps. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You guys have a wonderful week.